Well, hello, welcome to Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T. We're so happy to have all of you to be with us on today. We want all of you that's joining us on today to begin sharing our show with others. Go ahead and if you have to type their names in into the comment to get them to connect with this show, we'll be more than we're more than welcome you to do so. Um, we want you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channels. For those that don't do social media, please inform those that are not on Facebook that they can actually go to YouTube and they can actually go to YouTube from their browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and enjoy the show and comment even from YouTube, even from YouTube. So we welcome you. Go ahead and tell everyone that Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T is up and running. And today we're going to have a doctor that's going to be sharing with us uh, information concerning the virus and the vaccination. And we'll bring her on shortly. But how are you doing on tonight, Bishop T?
I'm good, Pastor Z. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Awesome.
good. Seems
Awesome.
like this week has kind of flew by. Like we were just here 2 days ago doing the show.
Mm.
How about you?
So you feel like the week has flown by?
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like this year is kind of moved real quick?
Well, yeah, I do. I feel like time is progressively moving right along.
Yeah, I don't.
Well,
Did you read or hear about um they're trying to get the state of Alabama not to do the
daylight saving time.
yeah.
Yeah, it actually. I thought it passed.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it. Thank you, Miss Harder. We'll try.
Don't start.
We'll try. Miss Hardy, thank you. We'll try. Let me say this. Let me say this. As long as things don't get out of hand with the gentleman who has his hand on the knobs controlling the board, we should be fine.
We got company.
Well,
Can we act
well,
right when company is here?
that's as long as you participate in
I'm
the
just saying.
board.
Can we kind of they say what goes on in the house stay in the house. We always got an instigator. Miss Hardy
You,
is the instigator.
let me tell you.
We was doing fine until she said it, and then you want to start
No, all I said, no, I
shaking
didn't
your
have my
head.
neck, I didn't have my head and my neck in. I just said as long as the person who has his hands on the control behaves, there'll be nothing tonight. But yeah, I thought that either the Senate, Alabama Senate, or I thought that it passed. That's what I thought I read that it did. But I guess we'll see because we should fall back soon. I think we're gonna fall back. I don't think we're gonna spring forward when the time comes.
Why you think that?
Because I think they already passed it.
You're right, Miss Francis, and happy belated birthday to you, Miss Francis. I hope you enjoyed your day. Hello, Miss Katrina Davis. Listen, y'all, we have Dr. Odeane Connor. Uh, she might need to check you while she here, but she do virtual. She
Boy,
do
you can't
virtual
cough
visits.
around people.
I'm
You
sure
can't sneeze around people.
she
Boy, it
do
don't work
virtual
that way.
visits.
People start. You go to come here.
Listen, so we're going to be welcoming all the comments and the questions on tonight that you may have for Dr. Connor. We do know that the booster shot is out, and they're working on also a vaccination for those that are under 12.
Yeah,
Uh,
5 to 12, 5 to 11.
yeah, so we listen. We got a lot of information. So listen, get everyone. Let's flood Facebook with real talk we have a very great physician and we're going to get some of her biography. She's going to share with us some of her background so that you would know. And then she's going to give you some truth because we hear conspiracies and we hear all of these rumors and what we done heard, but we want to talk to someone who has actually been dealing with this ever since it's been taking place. Hello, Pastor Kirkpatrick. How are you doing? Hey, man. Mr. Farabee, how you doing, man? Glad to have all of you joining us on today. So we want you all to share, like. We do welcome again for you to comment throughout the show. We'll have some questions to share with Dr. Connor as soon as she get finish up sharing the information she want to share with us. We will entertain some questions. This particular show is sponsored. The physician is sponsored by Drake Kirkpatrick Foundation, 21 Kids. Drake Kirkpatrick Foundation, Let's Huddle campaign. We're going to talk to our doctor. It's called Let's Ask the Doctor. You ready, Bishop?
I'm ready.
If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. We want you to know that you can actually follow us on Facebook. We want you to go and like our page, facebook.com/ZT.realtalk on Facebook. Check us out. You can just put in the top Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T, and you'll be able to like our page. We also have a YouTube channel. We want you to like and subscribe. You can go to YouTube channel, realtalk.z.t, or you can just put in the search engine, Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T, and it will come up. We do have a Twitter page. That's right. R Talk with Z and T, with R and Talk with Z _ T. So we do want you all to join our different page, our different ways to connect to us. We was expecting to have our COVID-19 update for the Etowah County, but I think Councilman Worthy was actually leaving a tournament, and he's unable to connect with us with his mobile device. Good evening, Minister Dye. How are you? How are you? Mr. Farabee said, thank you, Dre. And congratulations on signing with the 49ers. Good evening.
Right. Congratulations.
My baby brother is speaking to us.
Hello, Jermaine.
Thank
you for being here tonight.
Thank you for being here on tonight. All right. It's time to ask the doctor. Well, hello, 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 hello. How
Good
are you,
evening.
Dr. Connor?
Good evening.
Good
Good evening to
evening.
you.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
We are fine. We're so happy to have you on tonight. Um, Sponsored, you are sponsored by the 21 Kids, Drake Kirkpatrick 21 Kids Foundation, Let's Huddle campaign, and
Thank
they
you.
provided you to be our guest on our show tonight. So we appreciate you. So you are at the Quality of Life in Anniston, huh?
I am.
All right. How's it going?
It's doing fine.
It's going fine.
It's
Uh,
going great.
tell us
Busy.
something about yourself. Introduce yourself to all of our listeners and those that are watching.
I'm originally from Virginia. I went to undergraduate school at the University of Virginia, where I received a degree in biochemistry. Subsequently, I went to Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, and I did several fellowships. I went to anesthesiology in Arizona, and I finished back up at the University of Virginia. So I did a lot of critical care and physical medicine rehabilitation. So you might say a jack of all trades and master of none.
Hmm.
So, and I'm here at Quality of Life seeing a plethora of patients with many symptoms, but COVID seems to be on the forefront of most people's minds. And there's so many things going on COVID that it's just 99% of what's out here is misinformation.
Yes.
And that's what we need to really address.
Right. All right. Well, of course, we have guests that will be asking questions. Hopefully, throughout the show, we have a lot of people that are speaking to you on tonight. Miss Townsend is saying hello. Miss Duckett is speaking to us on tonight, and of course, Miss Hardy. She's our yeah. Okay, I think she's another host, a part of this
Are you
show.
gonna let me speak to the guests?
You go
I
ahead and
have to
speak.
raise my hand and ask for
Listen, I'm just going to tell you, Dr. Connor, we have someone who having some symptoms,
Okay.
and it may be because it may be why she's acting the way she's acting
I
tonight.
rebuke the devil in the
So I don't know. I don't know
I
if you
rebuke the
can
devil. The
diagnose.
devil is a liar.
Can you diagnose anything through the
The devil is
computer?
a liar.
I
And
do a
then,
lot of Zoom calls. So after we finish, I'll talk to her. I'll be glad to.
We rebuking the devil.
That's
We
right.
believe in we believe in rebuking the devil around
I
here.
do it all the time.
Come
I do
on,
it
you
every
have
day.
to rebuke him. But hello, Dr. Connor. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Glad to have you on our show tonight.
Thank you.
I couldn't get a word in at the beginning, so I'm so grateful to be able to speak to you.
Going back, the daylight saving time was supposed to pass back on May the 7th, I do believe. So if I'm correct, our chime does not change. So we did check that. I think she signed that into law on May the 7th. Like, so
Right.
we really need
I
to
thought,
check on that.
yeah.
is that Kay Ivy did that?
She
Kate,
did.
yes.
And I do believe it was on May the 7th, but we need to go back and check that.
Yeah, she doing a lot, ain't she? Okay. Dr. Connor, share with us some true information that the public really needs to know from the past with this virus and the vaccine up to this point and what we're dealing with and what we may be dealing with in the near future.
Okay, we can start with the mask and then we go to the vaccines. The masks are very effective in preventing COVID, the transmission. And what I find out mistake about 90% of patients, they have the mask hanging down below their nose with the nose exposed. And it's a respiratory virus, which means that you inhale it through your nose. And it used to be the first variant out was called an alpha variant, and they deduced that about 15 minutes exposure to the alpha variant, you could get the COVID virus. But with the Delta virus, the transmission, the acquisition of the virus period is much shorter, as little as 5 minutes. So people need to wear their mask with their nose covered. Now, when they have the virus, when they speak or cough, then the virus comes out their mouth or through the nose when they sneeze. But you have to keep that nose covered. They also did a study about the most effective mask, and they studied bandanas, um, all the way up to N95s. And the only difference between a KN95 and an N95 is that the KN95 is made in Japan. N95 is made in United States, so there's very little difference. But the bandana provides the least effective um, transmission and getting the virus as possible. The bandana only protects you about 10%, up to 20%. The
Mm.
disposable mask you see in the store, those little light blue masks,
Mm-hmm.
protect you about 20%. And they
Mm.
measure the amount of droplets coming through it when people sneezed or had the COVID. The best mask available is an N95 or a KN95, and it has to be 5 layer. The 3 layers are okay, but to really prevent yourself from getting the virus, it has to be a 5 layer mask. So it's an
Wow.
N95 or KN95. But how some people get it, and they say, I've been wearing a mask because they weren't wearing the correct mask or wearing it the right way. So in order to be really prevent yourself from getting the virus, you need a KN95 or N95, not a bandana and not those little disposable masks that you see in the store.
So those little cloth-like masks, designer
Of
masks
course,
that
it
a
will
lot of
protect you
people.
about 20%.
Let me ask you a question while we're talking about the mask, because I don't know where I read this at or saw it, where if you have a mask on and you like take a lighter and you try to blow the flame out, if you can blow the flame out by just blowing through the mask, they said that that really wasn't a good one to wear.
No,
Do
it's
you have
not.
any? Okay, but if you can't blow the flame out, is that one better than?
It's a relatively good one,
Okay,
but you still need to make sure. The problem is your mask needs to be sealed on the sides of the mask, and
okay,
not have a gape in the mask. It has to really contact your face. But those masks are not very breathable, so I still recommend an N95 or KN95, and they're readily available now.
okay.
And
What
five
what
ply.
what happens when you blow flame through the mask?
They said that the amount of particulate matter that can get through the mask is great. So
Now,
I,
Doctor Caller.
I just leave that alone. But I don't worry about those masks. But my encouragement is that everybody would wear a good mask that covers their nose.
You
Now
so
we need to get some a lot of misinformation about the vaccine. As we know, there are 3 vaccines out. That the Pfizer, the J&J, and the Moderna, and I think all of them are very effective. The J&J was proven to be the least effective in the past by about 74% prevention rate. And remember, like I said, if it's a 95% prevention rate, meaning that 5% will contract the virus, 95% won't. So there's always that window. Pfizer and Moderna are running neck and neck, but they said Moderna right now has been demonstrated to be better at preventing hospitalizations from COVID than Pfizer.
Oh, really?
Johnson and Johnson, even though it's 74% now, with when you receive a booster shot of Johnson Johnson, you're 9 times more protected than you did with a single shot. So Johnson and Johnson, they're going to advocate a second shot for them.
Okay. Well,
So that
listen, there's that they have a question here about the mask, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Miss Francis Bryant said, "What if you double up on the blue mask? Is that better?"
slightly better if you can breathe through it. Slightly better, but still not as effective as an N95.
Miss Minister Di, Miss Treadwell said, "When will I be able to get the Moderna booster shot? Senior citizens over 70 years old. What about designer masks?"
Designer mask are no better than a regular mask. It's
mm,
just it's just no better at all. The Moderna, we're waiting for the booster shot to be approved for Moderna. So far, it's only Pfizer, and they're really, like I said, evaluating the J&J, which produces 9 times more protection than just one shot. So we're still waiting for the booster shot on the Moderna to come out.
So let me ask you this also. I'm if you took say you took the first shot and it was a Moderna, the second shot needs to be the Moderna, or is it okay for them to say get the Pfizer? And then with the booster, say I got the Moderna shot one, shot two, but now I want a booster shot, and Pfizer is the only one who has a booster shot. Can I take the booster shot of Pfizer? What?
Well, they're doing a study on now of combining the different shots, but there's no definitive information on about that. So I recommend you stay with the brand that you have for now. But the information that came out this week is that the Pfizer protection starts waning after 6 months. That's why they approved the booster shot. Moderna is still holding up there as the best one that's protected for a longer period of time.
Hmm.
So it still remains to be seen. But I still say right now, Moderna has the edge over Pfizer and definitely over J&J.
Bishop T, you had a question.
You at that's the question I was gonna ask about change if you had the Moderna switching to the Pfizer for the booster.
Stay with the same manufacturer.
That's what I was gonna ask.
So that being said, you saying 6 months is showing that it's only effective for really effective for 6 months,
No, it
and
starts
Starts
waning.
waning.
The studies show that the Pfizer vaccine starts waning after 6 months. You still have some protection. And that's why they're advocating a booster shot for those 65 years and older and the frontline workers.
so my question now would be these vaccination shots. Is this going to be like the flu vaccine, or will it be like the measles vaccine
I do believe it's going to be more like the flu vaccine,
yearly?
yearly or every 2 years. It depends on how long, but I do not believe it's going to be a lifetime like the measles. Not now.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the COVID virus is mutating so frequently, and they have to keep experimenting with the vaccines to make sure they keep up on that. So it's just like the flu. The flu changes every year. So I really believe that the COVID virus is going to be just like the flu and need frequent shots, not one time like the measles.
Well, really, I think, and maybe I know I probably wasn't the only one who thought this, but I think a lot of people thought the vaccination would be like a one-time deal. It was going to cover you for the protection, of that particular virus, like the measles or the mumps, chicken pox. That you
We
only,
all thought that. We
yeah,
all thought that.
we
I
all,
thought that.
okay, all right,
But we just didn't have enough information at that
right.
time. We just knew we had to get most people vaccinated as fast as possible, as rapidly as possible. But
Well,
there's so many people that are delve into all these myths about the virus and not getting vaccinated, and they're dying.
yes,
I mean, I've lost patients who believe those myths,
yeah.
and
I
they
work with some people that is they're saying that and they throw up. At one time they were talking about the flu, and many people the flu kill every year, and you don't hear nobody talking about the flu now. Everything is COVID. It's a conspiracy. They trying to uh they're collecting billions and billions of dollars on American people's back because regardless if it's free, somebody's paying for it, and they forcing this vaccine on everybody, and it's getting to the point where even professional athletes are being removed from their team, and their career are ending because they refuse to take the vaccination. And even government jobs, if you have a government job, either you take the vaccination or you losing your job, and you have to be full vaccinated by a certain time. And so and you have people saying that this stuff is somebody's getting kickbacks because they're trying to force this vaccination. What do you say to all of that?
well, I can see that two ways. And the one way that I see it as a Christian, you're supposed to do, you lay down your life for your brother. There's no greater, what you can do is lay down your life. But to me, when people say they refuse to take the vaccine, to me, that's being extremely selfish. Because it makes you think it's only about me. It's my body. You can't tell me what to do. But what I've seen is, and I'm not going to call the name, this is all over. I've seen a lot of people in nursing homes contract the virus from the workers. So it may be your body, but you're killing someone else's loved one.
Mm.
And a lot of people have died from the workers giving them the virus.
Wow.
And that's number one. It's not a conspiracy theory, um, because I've seen, I can tell you firsthand, it's not. And what we talk about is, there are over 700,000 people that have died in the United States. And I believe that every one of those 700,000 wish they could have had a vaccine.
Mm.
And they talking about people are dying from the COVID virus vaccine. Not really. The ones that had died, they weren't fully vaccinated. And they said they're scared of it. Well, you have 700,000 people that died without the vaccine. But what people don't believe is that no one talks about long haul COVID. You think they talk about deaths from COVID, but they don't talk about the people that I see every day. And I was speaking with one of the psychiatrists that work for Quality of Life, and we're seeing at least 30% of the patients have dementia from long haul COVID.
Yeah.
It's mainly short term memory. They can't think, and what they remember, what they think about this minute, 5 minutes later, they forget it. So we're seeing a lot of dementia. We're seeing permanent heart damage. We're seeing permanent lung damage. And we're seeing a lot of psychiatric illnesses from it, a lot of mental illness from it. So they don't talk about, they just talk about where you live or where you die. But we have a lot
Yeah.
of patients with long haul COVID that can't work. They're on oxygen permanently. They're seeing a psychiatrist permanently. Then a neurologist because they have dementia. So we're raising a generation of young people with dementia.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest. I've seen a lot of young, stubborn people. I work with some people, and when I tell you, they look for a physician that agrees with them and they runs with it. We had some people on here before asking us saying we don't know the long term or short term to this vaccination, but you are actually stating the short term and apparently the long term to having the virus. So
Well,
you know what that brings us.
people tell me all the time, I worried about the side effects from the vaccine. So you know what I tell them? Honey, don't worry about it because death has no side effects.
Hmm. Exactly.
So I just tell them death has no side effects. So you either choose life or you either choose death. And I think we've been out there long enough with the vaccine to know that there are very few side effects. If the side effects you have them, there may be a day or a couple of days, but I haven't seen any beyond that. And I do not see that many side effects. But I do have a lot of people with long term COVID. And I just had a lady screaming at me day before yesterday at the top of her lungs, help me, save me. What can I do? There's nothing we can do. I
Yeah.
have people have symptoms that have for 2, 3, 4 months. They can't smell, they can't taste,
Yeah.
um, they can't think, um, and they can't breathe. They still, lie down at night thinking they're going to die. And this is after 2, 3, and 4 months. They're still like that. And there's nothing we can do for them.
I
We
had a
tell them take
friend.
vitamins, we tell them take supplements, but there's nothing and we can do for them. And they're so busy asking me about ivermectin and all these other things. And we need to address that if y'all don't mind.
Cool,
Yeah.
sure,
Go
sure.
ahead.
Okay. All right. There's so many false cures out here that they would really believe something on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube rather than listen to a physician or an immunologist. Um, and I have patients now that are sniffing hydrogen peroxide.
Hmm.
That's very dangerous because it's going to damage their brain and set up chronic inflammation in their lungs. So they're risking brain damage and permanent lung damage just by sniffing hydrogen peroxide. As far as ivermectin, what's on the shelves are mainly for horse or cows, and people are not horses or cows.
Mm-hmm.
70% of the calls to the Poison Control Center are from ivermectin. Not to mention that with an overdose, you damage your kidney, you damage your liver, and you cannot take ivermectin long term. So you rather use horse paste or sniff hydrogen peroxide rather than take the vaccine. So I just do not understand about that.
Yeah. I had a guy at work that said something about that about the horse. And I'm like, man, we are not horses. He said,
Right.
the horse got the same thing you got. I'm like, you got to be retarded, man. You know, are
And
you
what
crazy?
and one thing we need to address is United States is really not had any definitive studies on ivermectin. Those studies have come from overseas, and they really did one study was out proving the how good ivermectin was, but it found out that a study from the Egyptians had falsified all the data in favor of ivermectin, so they had to throw that out. And plus, it had no control group, so you didn't have any with a placebo, some getting it, some did not. So those studies were flawed and they were not good studies. So you cannot rely on those studies about ivermectin because they weren't studies at all.
Yeah,
And the data was falsified from the Egyptians and they had to throw all that data out. So, but we now the hospitals are calling for doctors not to prescribe ivermectin, and some others are an antipsychotic drug or a gout drug, but none of those have been proven effective against COVID.
yeah. We welcome all of your comments, questions for Dr. Connor. She's a physician at the Quality of Life in Anniston, Alabama. We have a question for you from Ms. Bryant. Let's say that someone has taken their first shot at CVS. Can they get their second from Quality of Life?
Absolutely. Just bring in their card that has the date of their first shot. That's not a problem.
Okay. Minister Dye says, should we get the regular flu shots for ages 6 months and older?
Yes, because you're talking about a different virus. Absolutely.
All right. So, is there a new strain? We heard the last time that we was talking to a physician. There was a new strain called Mu.
Mm.
Oh, Mu has been pretty much eradicated by the Delta. Mu has not been a very competitive strain against the Delta. Mu took hold in a couple of states and now it's pretty much wiped out.
Okay.
So there's pretty much no Mu strands right now, hardly in the United States. That's not to
So,
say it won't come back, but pretty much the predominant strand and almost the only strand is Delta. It accounts for, the last I heard, between 83 and 85% of the cases of COVID. It's Delta.
so talk to us about the vaccine that for our youth that's under the age of 12 that's almost ready to come out.
Let me ask a question before you go to that. Shoot it. Go ahead. It'll come back to me. I was fixing to add something with respect to the vaccination, but it'll come back to me. I dropped it just that fast. I'm gonna just sit over here and do
That
it.
is a very touchy subject with parents right now, but there are a lot of young children dying, but even more suffering again, long haul COVID. But I tell the parents that it's not any different. We didn't hesitate to get the flu shot. We didn't hesitate to get the hepatitis or measles, mumps, and rubella shot. And if they look at what was in those vaccines or how fast they came out, they'd be a lot more like reluctant to take those shots than the COVID.
Hmm.
But if you don't take the COVID vaccination, then it's like you're playing Russian roulette. I can't tell you because there's so many children died, and the children's hospitals all across the country are still full from COVID. Even though we've seen a decline in COVID, it still can resurge at any time. It's a very unpredictable virus.
I know that we have a lot of misinformation, like you said, that is being put out that it has people hesitant about receiving the vaccination and thinking that this virus is a hoax and is not real, that it's not that bad. I've had guys that I worked around say, I done had it twice. I had I was around a lot of people. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And they walk around and they without a mask on. But what I think contribute to that is that the people that are putting out the false truths, uh,
Absolutely.
like like people in the profession as you are, some of your colleagues have put out videos on YouTube stating that this is all a conspiracy. You know, this, they're trying to get you to take this vaccine because they're trying to put a chip in you, or they got all these conspiracies. And what do you say, or why would other physicians be saying the things that they're saying when they know very well, if they're dealing with patients, they got to know that this is not a joke, that this is real. Why
I
why
know.
why would
And
they be doing
I
this?
wish I knew why physicians were putting out those conspiracy theories. I don't know any who are doing this. I have no idea why they're doing this. I honestly don't. But the virus is very real. I can tell you, I see people. I've lost patients, and they have died from the virus. They have been on the ventilator. It's not a joke. But you have all these people who are telling their stories, and like you said, the doctors, the patients are all telling them, "Can I get the vaccine?" just before they're intubated. And once you're intubated, there's not a good chance you're going to come off the ventilator. Most likely, you will die. So I wish I knew why pastors are doing this. I have no idea. Why the sports stars are doing this, I have no idea. And for people who don't wear a mask, all I can tell you is they're blessed because they haven't gotten it, but more than likely they eventually will get it. I have a lot of patients that told me, I'm not going to get it. I'm strong. I've been around people, I haven't gotten it yet. We don't know enough about the virus, why some people get it and some don't. But a lot of people who said, I'm not going to get it, I'm not worried about it, have gotten it, and some have actually died.
Mhm.
So some of I can have a bunch of patients that have succumbed to the virus, and I have a bunch on oxygen permanently for the rest of their lives. I wish they could tell their story, those who are still living, of how they thought they were invincible, but the virus eventually got them. So it
Mhm.
will get you, but you have to be next to a person probably for at least 5 to 15 minutes and inhale the air, but it will eventually get you. So those who think they're so cavalier, I can tell you many patients of mine who did get the virus.
We had Dr. Xavier Smith when it first came out come on to our prayer line and share with our listeners when everyone was very much confused and didn't know anything about this COVID-19. He stated to us and shared with us that with COVID-19, that a person can cough in the air in the area, and the virus will suspend itself in the air for 3 hours.
That is correct. three
And,
hours.
and anyone come in that area can contract, and that person could be gone. 2.5 hours later, you walk in the area where someone has been coughing and sneezing because it's in the air. You walk right into it, not knowing. Um, and here's what I hear people say a lot uh, when they're outside: I don't wear my mask because I'm outside. Well, if it suspends itself in the air, it doesn't matter. And
That's
even on
correct.
surface, right? On metal surface, it can stay up to like 72 hours, ain't it? Am I
It
right?
does, or longer, but it's correct. 3 hours in the air. That's how long it does remain in the air, where you're inside or outside. And I've had people contract it from being outside. I've had a number of patients contract it while being in restaurants. Remember, when you talk or when you sing, the virus comes out of your mouth. The person may be asymptomatic, but you may get it and die, or be on a ventilator, or be in a hospital. And one thing I want to talk to people about is the monoclonal antibody. The monoclonal antibody is does not take the place of the vaccine. It is there for people at the first signs of COVID. You have to be within the first 10 days of the symptom, and it gives you the antibodies from someone who previously had COVID. And it may take up to 3 days to get completely well from it, but everybody who I've sent for monoclonal antibodies do heal, do get better. But the point is, we're losing our monoclonal antibodies. We've lost most of it from Alabama because we had such a low vaccination rate. And I've had patients to go over to Georgia to try to get it. But we have such a low vaccination rate, we're the lowest in the country. We have very few monoclonal antibody left. It's almost non-existent in most places in Alabama.
Mm.
And as far as the COVID-19 pill coming out, we don't know that much about it. By Merck, it is going to be designed like the monoclonal antibody to be given within the first, hopefully, 5 days of exposure or symptoms of COVID. but that has not hit the market yet. But that's what they're working on now, is a COVID-19 pill from Merck.
Mm.
So the monoclonal antibody is great, but we don't have very much of it left in the state of Alabama. But it's not a substitute for the vaccine at all. And if you have severe symptoms, you're not eligible for the monoclonal antibody at all.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Bishop T, have it came back to you yet?
Uh-uh.
You
I'm
have.
trying to recover it.
Okay.
It
Do,
had,
do, do your best. Do your best. Okay.
yeah.
We have some questions from our audience. Miss Francis Bryant said, "Have the COVID cases in Alabama started to decline?"
They have, but not where they should be. As long as there are people still having COVID, it's a chance it could resurge again. But they're declining all across the country because of the vaccines and more people are wearing their masks. But
Yeah.
yes, they are starting to decline.
Awesome. We're glad to know that. Ms. Hardy says, "What is your perspective on requiring the vaccine?"
Again, like I stated, I think it's something we need to do, because I see so many people that have died in the nursing homes, from workers not having the vaccine. Children have acquired it and have died. I think that people should get the vaccine. Like I said, it's not a me only anymore. It's about everybody else. So people need to stop thinking about themselves and think about everybody else that they might acquire it and die and get it from you. So we got to stop being so selfish and self-centered. That's
Mhm.
my point.
Mr. Lacey Robinson said, "Dr. Connor, would you advise to receive the third booster shot if it's available to the individual?"
I do. I absolutely do.
Okay.
Okay,
Now,
it came back to me. Let me ask this. I have heard not many cases, but maybe one or two, maybe two or three people say, or someone tell me that doctors have recommended that they not get the vaccination. What would be what what why would that what is in it that you would have going on in your body that you the vaccination would not be safe
The
for you?
only thing I mean, the only way I recommend a person not get the vaccine if they have something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, or they have an allergy to one of the components of the vaccine. I've had doctors not recommended patients because they were so immunosuppressed that they not get the vaccine. But to me, I think that people who are immunosuppressed to do it with caution, but they're the ones who need the vaccine because COVID patients love immunosuppressed individuals. So, like I said, I've talked to a couple of patients, doctors didn't recommend it, but in the end, they did. And all the patients who doctors were hesitant got the vaccine and came through it no problems. But the only way I would not recommend it or recommend a caution someone has something called Guillain-Barré or allergic to the components of the vaccine. That'd be the only reasons.
you know,
And
we,
so far, I haven't seen anybody allergic to the vaccine, and I don't know anybody's developed Guillain-Barré from it.
we was talking about the virus suspending itself in the air. Ms. Bryant had sent a message or question asking, "Does that depend on the temperature outside?" Because they say at one time, when it start heating up or when it get cold, it's gonna kill, or when it heat up, it's gonna kill the virus, and that didn't happen. We thought,
No, I don't think. I think it depends on the wind, but I don't think it depends on the temperature, because this virus is proven to survive in heat as well as cold.
yeah.
So I don't think the temperature, and it's not going to get hot enough outside to kill the virus anyway.
So
It really is
so
not.
so so my question is, you say it's not gonna get hot enough. Is it somewhere where they have done a study that if it got to a certain temperature that it could kill the virus? I don't know.
I think it's almost like the boiling point, and we don't have anything like the boiling point to kill it. So I
Yeah,
just don't think it's going to get hot enough in this country or in any other country to kill the virus. I really don't.
yeah.
It's proven to adapt quite well to all conditions.
Lisa Robson said, "Will you recommend pregnant women to receive the vaccine shot?" And that is a question that some of the parents of young ladies was concerned about their children, that vaccine being in their children, and what it could cause long-term effect. If they decide to have children later on in life, would it affect their child in birth? Or
Again, we have not had any studies on that, but all I can tell you is that we've quite a few women have had stillborn children and have also miscarried from having the COVID virus pregnant without the vaccine. There have been, I think, Mississippi had 8 last month, if I'm correct, that women lost their children, miscarried because they had the virus and no vaccine. There
okay,
have been quite a few pregnant women that have died on a ventilator and they had to deliver their children because they refused to get the vaccine. I said, talk to the OBGYN, but there have been so many cases across the country where the women have miscarried because they had COVID and did not have the vaccine.
no.
And so far, the women who have delivered the children with the vaccine have had no problems.
Now, I've heard a lot of stories about women delivering children with the virus and the baby surviving, but they didn't.
Right.
We had Dr. Smith is a what do you call it? Oh, I don't know.
OBGYN.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, for what I understand, pretty much all the children have survived, but the mothers didn't because the mothers absorbed the brunt of the virus.
Yeah.
So the children were protected, to me, by the placenta. So the children survived, the mothers didn't.
Dr. Smith made the statement uh, that there was a lady who it wasn't time to give birth, but she actually thought the child that she was carrying was cutting off her breathing. She couldn't breathe because she had the virus.
Hmm.
She was begging him to deliver the baby out because she thought it was the baby when it was actually the virus
Yes, correct.
that was giving reason why she was short of breath. Miss Ashley Kirkpatrick said we've had some conflicting information about receiving the flu vaccine at the same time as the COVID vaccine. What is your recommendation?
I recommend that the flu vaccine be given sometime in October, basically toward the end of October, to protect you from the variants during the high season, which is usually February, March. And I've always recommended the flu vaccine being given during that time. Just to get the full immunity from each vaccine, I would suggest separating it by a month, not at the same time, even though I don't have any data on that. I just think to get full immunity separated by at least a month, so the vaccines won't conflict with one another. But again, the flu vaccine should be given really after the 1st of October to protect you against the winter months and the spring months.
Bishop, you have anything before we go to a break?
No, sir, I don't. Think
All
you
right.
covered it.
Stay with us, Dr. Connor. Stay with us, audience. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back to talk a little bit more to Dr. Odeane Connor of Quality of Life in Anniston, Alabama. We are here at Real Talk with Pastor Z, Bishop T. You can follow us, like our page on Facebook. Go to facebook.com, zt.realtalk, or look us up on the Real Talk with Pastor Z and Bishop T. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channels. Go to realtalk.z.t. We also have a Twitter page that you can follow us on. We share a few things there on our Twitter page. Today we are with Dr. Odeane Connor. She's our guest here at Quality of Life. This segment of our show is sponsored by 21 Kids. Drake Kirkpatrick, 21 Kids, Let's Huddle Campaign Foundation. Ask the Doctor health awareness. And we're here. We're back with Dr. Connor. Welcome back, Dr. Connor.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying being on Real Talk?
I am. Thank you.
All right. We might can get you on here quite often.
Okay, anytime.
Put you on payroll.
Okay.
We're actually have enjoyed talking to you. We want to ask our listeners, there's any questions, any comments you want to make concerning what Dr. Connor is sharing with us with the virus and the vaccine. We welcome your comments and your questions right here on Real Talk. On Real Talk. Um, how have uh, your patients that you've seen with the virus, how have it affected you um, psychologically, mentally? How has it affected you? Have you ever seen it this bad in your
Now,
profession?
a lot of doctors that I speak with are suffering fatigue. I think burnout. I talk to the ER a lot, and I have patients over here who need to go to the ER for different reasons. And I call the ER and they tell me, hey, doc, it's a 7 hour wait or it's a
Mm,
16-hour wait just to be seen. And so I try to treat the patients in the office as long as we can because patients have been in the hallways. Patients have been waiting for beds. Um, I sitting down in the ER for 5 to 7 days just in the ER because they couldn't get a bed on the floor. And for the first time, we're having beds open in the ICUs and step down units. And that's not because of people getting better, it's because of people dying.
yeah.
So, people think, no, we had such a large number of deaths, so the beds finally open up. Like I said, not
Mm,
because they're getting better, because they
wow.
were dying.
So, do you feel that in order for it to get better, are we going to have to? Is it reaching herd immunity, or what do you see? Well, yeah,
I see
the same question.
mainly reaching herd immunity. I don't think we'll ever be able to get rid of the mask. But the point is, the United States is so into my freedom
Yeah.
and myself. I don't think we'll ever reach herd immunity. I mean, people say that we will, but I don't think so. There are too many people want their freedom and don't want to wear a mask and don't want to get the vaccine. Until we see majority of the population do that, we're still going to have breakouts, and the breakouts vary from week to week. I mean, places that normally had it controlled now pop up and they're a center of COVID.
So, what do you see there? And I know this may not. I hope I'm not asking something that's just not. I know it's relevant, but what do you see that doing to the medical system or to the medical professionals that it eventually because their fatigue has already set in.
It has.
So
It's set in mainly among the primary care doctors, internal medicine, and the ER doctors. And the other specialists are not able to get their patients in the hospital because there have been no beds, like the orthopedists and the people having cancer have been their treatments have been delayed. So until we all get together and do our share, it's always going to be like this. And the media plays a lot into this. Unfortunately, a lot of people who are promoting who are anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers already have had their vaccines, and they're lying to the public, and they're like anti-vaxxers, but yet they've already had their vaccines,
Mhm.
and that's
Like
the
Trump,
former president.
yeah, former president.
I'm talking like a certain news station
Yeah.
who are promoting or who are really anti-vaxxers, and all of them have had their vaccines, every single one of them,
Wow.
but they're
Wow.
telling people not to get the vaccines.
Wow. We've heard a lot of terminology since the pandemic that we is new to a lot of listeners. They have heard it, but they not quite know the definition of it until someone explains to them. So, for those that don't know what herd immunity is, can you share with them what that actually is so they would know exactly what you're talking about?
That's when the majority of the population has achieved immunity, usually through the vaccine or development of antibodies against the illness. But we have not achieved that because we still have a large number of people who are not vaccinated. And yes, you can get the virus twice.
Oh yes, I know quite a few people who have.
And it's always worse the second time around.
What about 3 times?
I've seen twice so far, and it's always worse the second time. I've never seen three.
Yeah. What do you think is the hesitancy regarding mandatory requirements for the vaccine?
I think it's listening to the media. I think it's listening to the media and having, no offense, some pastors in the media telling people it's the new world order, it's the
Oh
mark of
wow.
the beast, and all those things. They're bringing in scripture and all those things, and a lot of people are scared because they tell them it's the mark of the beast, or they put a chip in you, and that's what a lot of people have hesitancy about that. And they listen to their friends, oh, you're going to die in 2 years after the vaccine. Is the hesitancy to me is mainly regarding the reason is misinformation. It's absolutely misinformation. And I tell people, they said, oh, they put a chip in you. And I'm sure you've heard that, haven't you?
Yes.
You know what I tell people when they say they put a chip in you? I say, you have a cell phone, don't you?
Okay. So they know where we are all the time.
Right. They can track you better with the cell phone than a chip
And
in
the,
you.
and the chip.
So if you don't want a chip, if they don't want anybody to track you, then give up your cell phone and just live off the grid. So if you have a cell phone, you have a chip. And then they
Yeah.
can't say anything about that.
Oh, they'll come up with something.
But
Oh,
like I said, a lot of this is misinformation. And of course, I tell people it's not the mark of the beast. I said, if you say it's the mark of the beast, then you haven't read the book of Revelation.
Come on.
right,
That's it.
I
right.
said, because I can go to the book of Revelation and prove, because I've taught the book of Revelation. And I haven't seen a rapture yet. So it's definitely not the mark of the beast.
Mm.
And the mark of the beast goes in your head or your hand. It's not
Stamp.
on the shoulder, and it's not
Stamp.
temperature sensitive.
Stamp.
You know, we've had quite a few people to say that Bill Gates supposed to have been the one that designed this vaccine. That he stood up and spoke and said it's too many. The population is too large, and that the reason why things are going the way it's going with uh, actually the climate and the world is that the population got to be cut down, and so they created this virus for that. But he has the vaccine is a chip. That's why I've heard quite a few people throw up Bill Gates.
Now, Bill Gates did not create the vaccine. As a matter of fact, a black lady with a PhD was one of the main ones who created this vaccine.
Wow.
She does not work for Bill Gates. Bill
And that's
Gates,
good to know that an African American created this because
she
we
was.
seem to think as African Americans
It was a
that
black
it's a
female on the
conspiracy.
forefront. She was one of the top scientists to create the vaccine,
Wow.
and she helped create the Pfizer vaccine. Now,
Wow.
I don't know what Bill Gates is doing. I heard he was in Africa experimenting on his own vaccine, but Bill Gates does not have anything to do with the Pfizer or the Moderna or the J&J vaccine.
Mm,
Like you said, it can't be a chip because you have too many countries producing their own vaccine, and it's not regulated, so therefore it wouldn't have a chip in it. But like I said, if you don't want it, you're scared of a chip, just give up your cell phone. That's the best chip in the world.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't believe Bill Gates had anything to do with any of these vaccines. So, like I said, a black lady, PhD, was one of the head people that developed the Pfizer vaccine.
Awesome. Brother Robinson said, is the COVID death percentage higher for people of color?
It has been, but as of last week, the rate of vaccinations for people of color have are now almost equal to the vaccinations for the Caucasians for the first time. We're neck and neck. So now the death rate for the people of color are going down. I think the rate for the Hispanics and the blacks were within 2/10 of percentage point for the Caucasians. So we're almost equal to that vaccinations. The blacks have really significantly come up in their vaccination rate. And so now that's been a significant improvement. So the black death rate, we believe, is going to go down because of the vaccinations.
Um, Are there some recommendations that you can make for vitamins or supplements for to the immune system?
Right, but make sure that it doesn't interact with any of your medicines. And I give my patients the same routine. If you can tolerate zinc, zinc is to me the most important mineral you can have because it prevents the virus from replicating. Now, zinc is
Mm-hmm.
hard on your stomach. I tell people break it in a half dose. I have my patients taking 220 milligrams and break it in half and taking half in the morning and half in the evening, or 110 milligrams twice a day. But you have to take it with the full meal. Like I said, that prevents the virus from replicating. Vitamin C strengthens your immune system. Vitamin D3 also prevents the virus from replicating. So those are the three main ones I recommend. The 110 milligrams of zinc twice a day, or 220 milligrams broken in half, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and vitamin D, which I usually do at 10,000 units once a week. And those are the main three that have shown to help prevent to strengthen your system against COVID.
Now I'm going to ask about elderberry because someone told me elderberry was good. And
Elderberry is good. Now, I take elderberry
okay,
for strengthening the immune system, but you got to make sure. The reason I hesitate, you have to make sure it doesn't interact with any of your blood pressure medicines or your heart medicines.
okay,
But yes, I do take elderberry, which does strengthen your immune system. And it's just one tablet a day for elderberry.
okay,
And Sambusha elderberry is supposed to be the best elderberry there is. Okay, so those are the main ones I recommend. Like I said, make sure it doesn't interact with any of your heart medications and your blood pressure medications.
which if
That's
you
vitamin C, D3, and zinc.
Yes.
Okay.
And elderberry if it doesn't interact with your immune system.
Okay.
and you said 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C,
Yes, 500 twice a day.
and you said zinc.
Right. I can do 100. It's easier on your stomach if you do 110 milligrams twice a day. But you
Okay,
have to take it with a full meal because it wreaks havoc on your stomach. And that prevents the virus from replicating.
Yeah.
And
I actually put that in our comments for our listeners and
you
those
already
who
put it in there. Okay, good.
I have.
The
Mhm.
D3. I'm sorry. Can I ask what did you say about the dosage for D3?
Most they have doses like 10,000 once a week, and that's a form that you can get it from your doctor where it's a capsule. That's 10,000 units. You take it one time a week, and it lasts you all week.
Okay,
I didn't put the dosage in the comments, Bishop T. So if you want to do that, you can.
And that's what I
okay,
have my patients taking.
But that elderberry, you got to be careful with that. Make sure it doesn't conflict with your medicines.
It does help with COVID. Like I said, make sure it doesn't interact with any of your medicines.
And I must ask this question because sometimes people say, well, instead of me getting the vaccine, let me get the vitamin C, D3, zinc, and the elderberry. I'm good. We're
It
not
helps.
saying that, right?
It helps, but it's not guaranteed prevent you from getting COVID.
You need the vaccine. Am I
Yes, you
right?
do.
Okay. What brand of elderberry did you say?
I think Walmart brand, they have a Sabusha one, which is really good, but it's expensive. I recommend Walmart brand, which is what I have is Spring Valley. It's
Spring Valley.
a green bottle with a yellow label.
Mhm.
And Spring Valley is very good.
Awesome. You've given us some good information. Anything else you want to share with us?
I don't. Now they're experimenting a lot with omega 3s and prevention of the virus, as well as apple cider vinegar, tablets. I still think apple cider vinegar is very good for everything almost. But you have to be careful when you get apple cider vinegar, because I looked at the most of the tablets of apple cider vinegar are filler and don't have any apple cider vinegar in them. So you have to look at the list of ingredients before you buy apple cider vinegar. You really
Okay.
need to, because most of them are fillers and contain none of the active product. And remember, they're listed in the order of decrease in frequency. So what it has most in it is going to be the first, and then as is whatever it has in it, the next is going to be after that. So when you look at a label to see how much active product it has in it, read the ingredients. the top ingredient is going to be listed first, and then
Right.
it will go on down for the list of ingredients. So that's very important when you pick up a label.
That's right. Bishop T's mother said, "Can children take these supplements?"
It depends on their age. Zinc is greatly reduced for children. Children have a very, very small dose of zinc. I'm not a pediatrician, so I say check with your pediatrician. I treat adults, pretty much 17 and older. That's the dose for adults, but children, those doses are greatly reduced.
Greatly. So we have to listen. Don't gamble with that. Make sure you check with their
Check with your
physician.
pediatrician because the doses are much, much, much less, especially among zinc and vitamin C. The doses are a fraction of that. So check with your pediatrician.
Right. Well, Bishop T, you have anything?
No, I don't, sir. Thank you, Miss Connor. It's Dr. Connor. I'm so
You're
sorry.
quite
Thank you
welcome.
so much. I will say I hope I don't know what the numbers got up to tonight, but this information was priceless. It's
Thank you.
yeah, I'm seriously, I think it's even with the questions that came in and some of the questions that I had, even without being asked, those questions being asked, it's evident that you are amongst and hearing what the people are the questions that people have, the
Okay.
day-to-day questions, just the simple questions and how to maintain and yeah, so thank you so much
I
for
have to
being
add one thing. When the patients get COVID, one of the first things I do is put them on an inhaler or have them cough and deep breathe every hour because you don't want them to get pneumonia. So when they get COVID, the main thing to do is take a deep breath, hold it for a few seconds, and then let it out and do a deep cough every hour. And that will keep the air spaces open so they won't get pneumonia. I do put most of them on a Z pack because that has been shown to be instrumental in helping them prevent them from getting pneumonia. So when they get COVID, that's what I prescribe them, as well as an inhaler to keep the air spaces open so they won't get pneumonia. But simple things like taking a deep breath and holding it for a few seconds and letting it out, and taking a deep cough every hour will keep the air spaces open so they won't get pneumonia. So they
Yeah.
can avoid or less likely to get pneumonia.
Yeah. You
let me
know,
ask you
go
one
ahead. Go
question
ahead.
while you're talking about the breathing. Is it also good to because to kind of it was some type of demonstration that I saw where you massage the back to break up mucus or something in the lungs, in the area of
Yes,
the lungs?
it is. It's called chest percussion and postural drainage, but you have to know how to do it
Okay.
to break the mucus and things up. And you have to be careful of the mucus medicines over the counter because it can raise your blood pressure. So you need to talk to your doctor to see which ones you can take and can't take. But you want to get in a certain position down, and you start at the bases and at the bottom of your lungs and go to the top because you want to break the mucus up so it will come up. But it's really important to keep your lungs clear.
Yeah. Miss Bryant asked the question. You know that there's a vitamin that we've been seeing quite often on social media and on commercials. Goalie vitamin. Do you recommend it?
It's just name brand vitamin. It's just
Yeah.
paying for the hype and the manufacturing and all the stuff on TV. It's no better than any other vitamin.
Yeah, because that golden vitamin, that when you read it, it doesn't really have anything different from the
No,
other
no, it doesn't.
apple cider vitamins. It's
It's
the
just
name.
you have to pay for the messaging on TV and advertising and all that. No, it's no better than any other vitamin. It really
Okay.
is not.
So you've been seeing a lot of patients that and it has, like you said, it can give you fatigue, make you tiresome. What do you do to kind of get your try to motivate yourself to be able to get back there the next day to
They have to exercise. They can't be couch potatoes. They have to. I know they don't want to, but they have to get up and exercise, take their vitamins. And for those who have mental illnesses, I give them a regimen that I want them to do to start using a part of brain that we normally don't use to get their memory back. And that's the main thing we do. But you got to get up and you got to exercise just a little bit every single day to get that over that fatigue. Again, vitamin 3 is the single most vitamin that's tied to chronic fatigue. So take your vitamins, especially take the D3. Get out there, try to do a little bit every single day to build up your endurance, and do memory. I give them memory challenges to do to get their brain function back to normal.
Well, we appreciate you because we know that there are some who have actually stepped away from the profession because it's gotten too much.
Hmm.
We pray for those who are continue in the fight, and we know that sometimes it can become overwhelming. Um, but we really appreciate you. We do not know what you go through. We do not know.
I love what I do.
Hmm.
I get frustrated at the stubbornness of the patients and all the misinformation out of here. But somehow we have to, like I said, a lot of those people who promoting anti-vaccinations have had the vaccines already themselves,
Mm.
you know.
Everyone, if you will, I want y'all to flood the timeline with hearts, showing appreciation for Dr. Connor coming on to our show and
Anytime.
giving us all the information that she has given us. I see a lot of people commenting on here, showing their appreciation for the information that you have given on tonight, showing the love.
That's
So
so sweet.
yes, yes, yes. Listen, I want you to know that because sometimes people don't know that they're appreciated or thought of. If we could give you 1,000 roses, we would do that because
Oh, that is so sweet.
the information that you have given us is well needed, and a lot of people's eyes are open. And those that was on the fence, that was considering getting the vaccination but wasn't sure about doing so, they may have been won over by you, especially knowing that we had an African American to help invent the Pfizer vaccine.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
you can also get her profile on TV. They did like almost like a little documentary of her.
yeah,
And Dr. Fauci gave her a heads up to her, and he really introduced her to America and said she was one of the leading scientists to develop Pfizer.
awesome,
So she's a
awesome.
PhD, she's a doctorate, and she was one of the leading scientists to develop it.
All right, you see, you got roses. People are giving you
Oh,
roses.
that's so sweet.
I think that's a good idea because you said that we could do 1,000 roses. So I think if everybody will just hit the emoji for roses and put
Oh,
So,
that is
the
so
roses.
Dr. Connor, give her roses right now.
so sweet.
Uh,
Thank you. And anytime you need me to come on, I'll be more than happy to talk about any topic.
you
Thank
was awesome.
you.
You was awesome. Well, you was awesome. Okay,
Thank you, Ken.
Dr. O'Connor, you have a wonderful day, and we look forward to talking to you real soon. Okay.
Anytime.
All right. All right.
Bye bye.
They
Bye
still
bye.
showing love as
Thank
you go.
you.
Everybody
You're
showing
welcome.
love.
Bye bye.
Bye
Everybody
bye.
showing love as you go. All right. Wonderful, wonderful information. Wonderful
It was a
information.
lot of information. You
A
can
lot.
and now I want to say something that I want to talk about something that she said right quick. When she said there are people who have dementia, uh, they're having there are short-term and long-term effects. Now this really doesn't have anything to do with the medical side. I want to say this because I hear people make comments about these help wanted signs. I think we need to realize that a lot of people, you talking about 700,000 plus people who have died. There are millions of people who have had COVID that she said it. There are some that are emotionally damage from COVID, physically, you know, that this is long term, that they're still dealing with. They're not positive anymore, but they have the effects of it. I
Yeah.
was talking to someone today, and they were talking about what they call the COVID fog. You know,
Yeah.
so to me, there is no just bouncing back. I'm saying that just period. Some people it doesn't affect like others, but there are though the majority. There are people who are dealing with this. Is lingering, the lingering effects of it. So her information was great. Her
Mhm.
information was great, even to mention that because we are so insensitive. We're so insensitive until it comes on us, until things happen to us. So I enjoy hearing her and listening to her tonight with the information that she brought to the show tonight.
Yeah, and when she made mention about the African American woman who helped invented the vaccine Pfizer, that ought to help us to kind of look past the Tuskegee experiment. You had one of us, and then she also made the statement about we're catching up, almost have caught up, being having the vaccination as a Caucasian, so they're getting it. They're getting it, and there's a higher percentage of our people who's thinking about it, and thinking about it, you may think a little too long, and then once you contract it and get in a um, bad way, it's going to be very difficult to overcome it. As I've said 2, 3 months ago when we first started this show, I say it again. I want to see all of you, as well as myself, survive this. I want to see all of you survive this. Um, you know, whether it's vaccine or not, I still want to see you make it through this. I want us to make it through this. And we heard also what she shared that it's a possibility, strong possibility, very strong possibility. This will be a yearly thing to get a vaccine for the COVID. We don't know yet. It's a possibility. It's going to be like the flu shot instead of the immunization shots that you get for measles, mumps, chicken pox, and other viruses that was out there. So we thank all of you. Your friend, your sister Francis said that you didn't get that cough checked out while
Well,
you
sometime.
while you had the doctor on.
But what you did, let me tell you something. Let me stop both of you all right now.
I'm just reading the comment.
Because what I do want you to know is where you doing the show.
Do I need to use my
Maybe
gift?
you need to go get a test.
Do I need a gift? Need to use my
Now we're
gift?
not gonna talk about that. Maybe you need to get a test because if I'm not mistaken, and then because you done said something about my cough, I know that you tried to cover your cough up. I've enjoyed the show tonight. Thank each and every one of you for being with us. I'm glad I was able to answer a question eventually. Ask a question eventually.
Our talk show guest, Miss Connor, Dr. Connor, was provided to us by Drake Kirkpatrick, 21 Kids Foundation, Let's Huddle campaign. We thank Drake Kirkpatrick for giving back. Really appreciate him. He hasn't forgotten where he comes from. We thank God for the love that he has for his home city. Hope to see him real soon on the field. Here we go. That's right, Francis. And then
What did she
again,
say?
and then here go her hike, buddy. Oh, I have the anointing. I just refuse to do
I
so
tell you what,
because
you can
folks,
use it if you want
folks
to.
get it. Folks get in their feelings. Folks get
You
in
can
their
use
feelings,
that mute
and
button
so
if you want to.
therefore I choose not to do it until next week. Listen, we sent out emails today, hoping to hear back from the different councilmen at the city of Gaston concerning our talk show that we're going to do. We're going to do it, regardless if we have them on or not. We're going to be discussing the city budget, and we want to hear their stand on why they voted for the city budget that excluded the school system. And so we're inviting them to come on. I hope we'll hear from them real soon. But with or without them, they have been reached.
Did you tell me though that had been that they went back?
We don't know. We know.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
well, let's say it.
No. You
Uh, it,
don't
wa-
have to,
it,
because
it, wa-
I don't remember where I got that from.
you got it from me. They this past, and it was public record. We had some people from the central office on the same meeting that they voted for the budget, pretty much big, and asked them to try to find some monies to give to the system.
They found.
And it's rumored that they're discussing about giving something towards the budget. They was going to vote to do so this past Tuesday, but because it wasn't a on the agenda and it wasn't an action item on the agenda, uh, Councilman Cannon said he wasn't voting for anything.
Let's really make sure for how many people still on here.
17
Let's really
on Facebook Live. We don't
okay.
know how many on YouTube.
Let's really make sure that we are here next week, regardless to how many of them are present. Let's make sure, viewers, that we are present on next week, because uh, it is concerning. So let's make sure that we're here, and we're going to get the information out to make sure that we are definitely present to hear what they have to say.
That's right. The city clerk received an email today, and we're hoping that she delivered those emails to the council persons there, the 7 council persons there to Gaston. We would love to hear their take, what they have to say concerning the city budget. We're going to give them a chance to come on and speak for themselves. If by chance, Bishop T, if by chance we have no one to come on from the city council position to explain, we will have Mr. Fred Zachary.
I was about to say we'll have a panel next week. It may not, they may not be councilmen, but
Hello.
we will have a panel
Yeah.
next week.
And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. That's
You
right.
might run for mayor after next week.
No, I won't. No, I won't. All right. Anything else you have, Bishop?
No, thank everybody for being here. Still share. You can still share the show, and we'd like to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd also like to reach 1,000 followers on Facebook. So please, like, share, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and all. So great show tonight, Reverend. You did good. You did all right.
Y'all have a good night.
Just like when we brought Mr. Zachary on to talk to us about the rendering plant. I had no idea. Some other people had. I know I was seeing the signs, but like I told you, my feeling was I grew up smelling the chicken plant. So my thing was, if I grew up smelling the chicken plant, let somebody else grow up smelling the rendering plant. I smelled the chicken plant all my life. You know, and it's terrible doing the summer. So, you know, my thing was they put that chicken plant in our neighborhood, let that rendering plant be something. But there again, we perish for lack of knowledge.